Welcome to Glazed Over, a podcast for contemporary ceramic studios. We're your host, Jessica Cowan.
And Amy Williams. You're invited to join us in creative conversation about life in the arts as entertainment space. Hey, Jess.
Hi, Amy.
How the heck are you?
I am so good. It's Cinco de Mayo, so hard to, well, today when we're recording it, it's Cinco de Mayo, so hard to have a bad day when there's margaritas in your future, right?
That's true. I had not considered that. So I'll have to get an emergency margarita today. I actually can't really it gets so busy Cinco de Mayo. So I don't really that's not one I normally celebrate, but I will take a shot of tequila in my kitchen just in your honor today. How's that?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Two shots in Samantha's honor. We met a new friend today, or at least she's new to me. Maybe you had met her before, but we had Samantha Irwin on today from Kaizen is the name of her business. And she actually told us what that meant. It means continual improvement. Is that right?
Yeah, which is really cool. Yeah. Because that's her whole mindset is how do we get good, get better, and then keep on staying in that cycle. So constantly getting better.
Yeah. We chat to her about customer journey. And this was a really great lead in to a workshop that she's doing for us for CCSA on July 22nd. So make sure that you are signed up for that. And as you're listening, jot down questions so that way when you have, her on July 22nd, you're able to ask and get those questions answers because she's just, she's so passionate about what she does. She's got a lot of experience working in different industries and with a lot of different industries. And I think she will be really great for us.
Yeah, she's really awesome. She has a cool backstory. She was a teacher, then she bought a hotel. Now she's doing this consulting. She has this really great program where you can get these cards that are going to help prompt you and lead your team meetings so that you're also thinking about something that is going to be the focal point. Like, when is the last time that we got a review and do we need to get more reviews? And that you're thinking about the little things as your weeks and days go on and on and on.
Yeah, and I know this episode is coming out kind of in the midst of summer camp, so maybe we all need the reminder that that we need to invest in our staff because as our staff are front facing and they're the ones talking to customers. So keeping staff happy keeps customers happy and all that good stuff. But she's got great ideas, and I'm gonna officially stop talking so that we can all hear her great ideas. How does that sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey everyone, Des Toll here from Biscuit Imports. You know how much we love our customers, and supporting the CCSA podcast is just one more way we can show up for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. We're glad you're here.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Are you ready to be inspired and take your studio to new heights? As a CCSA member, you'll have exclusive access to our annual convention, the must-attend event for Fired Art Studio owners. With expert speakers, hands-on workshops, and networking opportunities, the convention is where you'll learn the latest industry trends and gain insight to grow your business. Plus, you'll connect with suppliers showcasing the newest products. Don't miss out on the most exciting event of the year. Become a CCSA member today at ccsaonline.com and join us for the next convention.
What is Hospitality Bootcamp?
Oh, so when I had the hotel, one of the challenges I had was getting people on the same page, honestly, because you can say provide great customer service or loves people, but what does that look like in practicality? Like saying, oh, dress professionally. Well, that depends on who your audience is. So one of the things that I had required our staff to do was besides, like getting your food handler's license and things, we had a book that we had to read. It was called Hug Your Customers. It got us on the same, in the same mindset as far as how we serve people and hospitality and how you curate the experience. And then the other thing was this, at the time, it was a 3-hour online training called Oregon Q Care. I think Q meant quality. I don't know. But it's long since gone. But what happened after my staff took that is that I found that it was much easier for them to help correct each other because they would talk about the people in the, it's like if you have a conflict with somebody, you can either stand like this and then you feel like you're confrontational, or you can look at this thing and say, this is the problem we need to solve. That little tiny positioning creates more of connection between the two people who are trying to solve something. So it was amazing. It was a game changer for us, and it's no longer available. So then when I sold the hotel, I created my own. It's called the Power of People Academy. It's a hospitality boot camp for those people who can't have me in person, and it teaches so many soft skills. It increases retention and performance and customer retention. So it starts with first impressions, and it goes through 6 modules, and the last one is called congratulations, you screwed up. So it's how do you fix mistakes and exceed expectations so that, people are coming back and being your best referral. So that's what that is.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I think
Thanks.
that could be helpful for many, many industries, not just maybe the hospitality industry. So
Yes, yes. Any front-facing customer service staff. Yep, that's
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, Sandra,
Okay, so that's really exciting, but we mentioned a hotel. I know that you used to own a hotel, but not everyone who's listening does. So Samantha, we talk about yourself for just a little bit and how you got here.
Sure. Oh, sure. My chapter 1, 2, and 3. So chapter 1, I was a little late bloomer, right? Late bloomer, and ended up going to school, getting my bachelor's and then a master's of arts in teaching, realizing you have to work hard. Not everybody's naturally smart. So that was me. Like, you got to get in there and just do it. And I taught middle school for 13 years and loved it. Loved it.
the best.
So some of the kids that I loved to work with were the behavior problem and learning problem or development. They had learning challenges and behavioral challenges. So chapter 1 was middle school teacher. And that's where I learned to lead. Let's see, it's a podcast, so I'll do a picture. So lead like from supporting from below, not from the thumb on the top. So leadership is not about fear. Some people think so, but you don't create loyalty through fear. You create obedience and non-imagination and not all those good things. So leadership through inspiring, educating, challenging, and motivating those kids. So that's where I learned how people learn. And those people were prepubescent hormonal teenagers. So that was a lot of fun. I loved it very, very much. But I was frustrated with the system, because oftentimes people will think, well, if you loved it, why did you stop? So I was frustrated with the system. So I started leaning into, like, what is my next thing? What are my gifts? What's my passion? And long and short, ended up walking into the back door of a 3-story brick building built in 1907. So for Oregon, that's old. East Coast, not so much. On the National Historic Register, 21 rooms, an acre of grounds, located in a town of population 650 people. So 2 hours away from community, and it was empty. So there wasn't a lick of furniture in it. So they had sold off the furniture, thinking they could sell the building and the furniture, but the furniture sold and the hotel didn't. So I remember exactly where I was standing when the vision for this empty building and these grounds came just boom into my brain, and my heart went like that. And I threw up a Hail Mary prayer in my brain. I was like, if this is it, open the doors. And I think that was February. And at the end of the school year, I think the maybe later part of June, I had everything almost ready to go. And we moved mid-August back into a trailer, my parents' trailer, in the parking lot with 2 dogs, 2 cats and a dog. My husband, it's like, if we're doing this again, that was the second time in our marriage, I'm going to have a motorcycle to commute. So that was my hotel story. So that was in 2006, and it hadn't been open consistently for guests since the 40s. So
Wow.
I had an empty building that needed cosmetic restorations. I love working with my hands. The building needed furniture. We didn't have a clientele. It came with no clientele, no no SOP document, handbook, nothing, no job descriptions, no employees. So it was a lot of cosmetic restoration, a lot of stripping woodwork, plaster repair, figuring out how to carefully reglaze these 100-year-old windows. And I went from teaching to stripping. Lots of woodwork.
In a way.
Yeah. And that's where I was able to apply a lot of the things that I learned about educating and inspiring and leading staff, because I had to have them. I had to have staff. Made lots of mistakes for sure. But created it. It was about 11 months of restoration, and then opened it up and turned it into a destination wedding and event center, and operated it as a boutique hotel. So we had hotel guests as well. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful building, beautiful space. Love it.
What year did you sell them?
Pardon? We did. Yes. After about a decade, my long-term plan squished into very, I didn't want to really, but you have to sometimes make choices. We had both my husband and I had parent needs that came a lot sooner than we expected. So we made the hard choice to sell. Still miss all those people coming in. So enriching in the life of, yeah. And then now chapter 3. So I support independent, particularly love to support female women business owners in all the things leadership and training staff, how to, there's so much to do, right? So I help them compartmentalize, like, what's the important things? We have marketing, we have retention. People want to have increased sales. They want to have increased customer retention. They want to decrease their stress with staff turnover, as I did. And how do we get our staff to perform? So that's what I really hone in on now, is people hire me to support them in leadership, and I speak, and training their front-facing staff to deliver consistently excellent customer experiences. So, that's a lot of talking.
Oh yeah, and we're so grateful. And that is all we want, I think, in our
We're done.
yeah. Perfect. So tell us exactly how to do it. No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, where should we start? Is it starting with staff training? Is it starting with like defining your leadership style? Like if a person is new to this, where do you recommend they start? What skills should they look into?
There's 2 things that I really love, favorite phrases. One is from Michael Hyatt. And he said, as an entrepreneur, we have to get comfortable with having an undone task list every day.
Yeah,
For me,
true.
that was huge. Yeah. And that's still very hard. And then the other thing that I think I like tattooed on the inside of my eyelids, when we are hiring for anyone who is front facing, which means they're interacting with people, hire personality, then train them with the skills they need. There's a gift of hospitality that people have it or they don't. I learned the hard way, thinking I could train someone who is organized, on time, blah, 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 to be really hospitable to my guests. And thank goodness, one of my long-term repeat guests was friend enough with me that said, had I come the first time and that person was here, I would not have come back.
Wow.
So I thought, as a leader, it was something I could help her learn or support or I didn't always see it either, because she was on when I was there, but I would kind of hear things from staff. And then really, when I heard it from my friend, I went, okay, not the right fit. So they're 2 really important things. And all of this comes back to curating the customer experience, because, we want to make sure we are attracting the right kind of client to begin with, or customer to begin with. And when we attract that right person, we want them to become our super fans, because for a small business, it makes so much financial sense. It costs 6 to 7 more times to attract a customer than it does to keep them. So people think a lot about marketing, and that's important. We have to do customer acquisition, but the money is in 2 places. It's employee retention and customer retention. And those happen when we curate the entire experience. So
So when you're looking for that personality, what are the top things that you're looking for?
That's a great question, because I've found that not always people can identify it, because if you aren't like that naturally, you may not be able to see it. So to start to develop that muscle of how do I know who is has a naturally gift of hospitality, I like to just do a mental exercise. So if you think about, is there, I mean, in our town, there's a grocery, at the grocery store, there's lots of different aisles you can go in to check out, or you can go to the self-checkout. Now, when you're going to the grocery store, if you have checkout aisles, is there someone you tend to go to? I know in our grocery store, there's a person I'm always hoping is working in the produce area, because you just feel better when you're around him. That's kind of a clue that that person might be hospitable. Is there a drive-through you go through that you're always hoping for somebody, or a barista? Or is there an aunt or uncle or cousin's house you just love to go to and others you don't? Those are like the little starting to get awareness of, oh, these people naturally make other people feel welcomed and valued and just glad that you're there. So that's the first thing we start to raise awareness of. That's how we kind of identify that skill, that innate skill of hospitality. But I'm open, if you have other things to add to that, I would be delighted to hear it.
I feel like it's changed so much in the last 15 years. And I think everyone is always talking about that. And every generation wants to complain about the generation below and how they don't want to work anymore, and standards are different, I guess. But yeah, I found my best employees were just excited to be there. They cared, and it's really hard to train somebody to care.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently did interviews, and one of the first questions is, why are you interested in coming to work here? And the first thing she said was, I want to be a part of this. I love coming here. This is where I want to come to be in my downtime. I want to be a part of spreading this to someone else. So to your point, she made me feel good just by saying that and being there. But she mentioned that when she's in the store, everyone makes her feel good. Even when she's a customer, the other customers are supporting her and she feels like she's in this community space. So it is a vibe, and if you're exclusively doing, I'd say, like virtual interviews, that can be tough sometimes to really feel the vibe and people's personalities, like that. They just are different in person when you're in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Samantha, in our industry, we're a creative industry. We're paint your own pottery. And a lot of times, 90% of the interviews you do, you say, why do you want to work here? And they say, oh, I love to paint pottery. And the real answer is like, well, this is a janitor job. This is a customer service job with cleaning, and you do really no painting. So it is, I think we can get really exhausted by just hearing that over and over again. And it's a nice reminder that, like, look for someone that like you're saying, look for that person at the grocery store who lights you up, because they're gonna, keep people coming back.
Yeah. And that, Jessica, you talked about the vibe that you have. So when I'm working with clients to attract, train, and retain people, quality people and staff, and it's the same thing with customers. If a leader, for me, if a leader doesn't have a baseline value, one of their core values is people, then I won't work with them, because nothing will work. Everything will be just the bandage. So it sounds like what you've created is you have created a vibe or a culture within your community, within your studio, or your business, that you really value people. And that's what I identify when you said what you said. I thought, oh, she gets it. She values people, whether they are the booker, the baker, the candlestick maker, that all of the people are important. Now, in order to attract that, maybe this might be helpful for some listeners, on a job description where it's telling us, these are the things you need to do. You need to be able to do X and Y and Z and work these hours, and here's your pay range. A really important piece to add to that job description is the piece about culture, because people stay for leaders. They stay for good managers. They stay for culture. Yes, pay, benefits, all those things are very important, and they are part of the things that check people's box. However, feeling valued and understanding that they make a difference, whether it's 3 generations ago or this current generation, that is a through line where people want to feel that they make a difference and they're valued, regardless of age, gender, race, any of that. So as a core value, I strongly believe that that should be one of our core values as a business leader. And if it isn't, well, I don't know what to tell people. I don't know what to tell them about
Yeah.
that.
How can we do?
Go ahead.
I think culture is something that we talk about a lot, and it's a word that occasionally I think we don't always define well enough. So I'm you said it perfectly, it's making people feel valued and showing that they make a difference, because that that's why I want to work anywhere. But how, on a really small scale, literal scale, can we make people feel that way past just saying, hey, you've done a good job? What does that look like?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. So one of the I'm very excited. People can't see me, but I'm like
Oh,
doing a little.
Oh, they can
can
see
watch
you.
us
Yeah.
on
Oh, they
YouTube.
can see me. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people listen, some people watch. I'm doing the Wallace
Yeah.
and Gromit. I think it's a little like excited hands. So people are motivated differently. And so one of the workshops that I do is a very fun one. It's based on 2 books, The Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace and Work Happy by Jill Geisler. So as an example, when I was doing this workshop with a chamber director and their staff, I'm sitting across the table from the chamber director and the staff's on both sides. And what we are trying to find out, or what we're going to find out, is how do people feel appreciated? Because the way I feel appreciated might be the way I tend to, or my values might be the things I give or do for people. But if it's not checking their box, it's not wasted effort, but it just doesn't hit the nail on the head, When I had the hotel, I would write my staff notes sometimes, and I couldn't believe how they would keep them for so long. For me, I'm like, whatever. But for them, some of it was great. So this story with the chamber directors, I knew that the staff had been working really hard on this event and a certain promotion. And I knew that during this big banquet, they were going to get some recognition in front of a whole bunch of people. We went through this inventory, and then I asked, and one gentleman said he'd share, and he was sharing the way he feels most appreciated is through recognition and verbal recognition and praise. And I saw the chamber director get like really excited. I mean, she sort of like sat up a little more proudly because she's thinking, oh, yes, I know, because it's going to happen so soon and I'm going to be woohoo. And the very next thing he said was, but I really don't like it in public.
Oh.
And she kind of went, wah, deflated. And she had to pivot really fast. But just asking, like, those 2 books are a phenomenal resource to actually find out specifically how we feel appreciated. And it could be part of the onboarding process. Anytime I even have caregivers for my mom, and there's a sheet that they answer so that I know specifically, I don't have to guess. How do they feel appreciated? What specifically is it?
Yeah. I love that sometimes the correct answer is the simplest answer, like just ask. I think we forget that part sometimes. So very well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I do with my staff that I talk a lot about is value graphs. So everyone who comes to work for me, after they're situated, we sit down and we talk about what is important to you in your life and how can we make sure that this is also a priority but fits into that. And yeah, what makes you excited, what motivates you, what makes you feel like you're being recognized. All of those things together are really important. And when I talk to other studio owners, I do notice that that's something that kind of gets pushed to the side. And in part, I think it's employee fatigue. Doing all that HR is really tough, and especially especially if you're thinking, oh, they're just going to leave in the summer or in the fall. But that initial investment, I feel like, is what keeps people on board and keeps them through those harder times.
Mm-hmm. And points right back to the comment that someone made to you. Like, I want to work here because I love the way I feel when I'm here. That's an outward indication of what you're exactly doing on the back end as a leader. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want our industry, and I'm kind of looking at myself in the mirror here, is to check back in with those values, because it does change, I think. And I think as you get more experience, you have, different insight. And I might think that this is a big part of what I'm looking for in an employee, but it might actually be something else because that's not serving us as it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point, Amy. One of my mom's caregivers, she did this inventory, and then we've been in relationship for a year and a half, 2 years now. And you reminded me that I actually probably should redo this again with them, because she had made a comment as I was listening about what she really loves, because it's a relationship. She doesn't know that, I love to cook and she likes certain things that I cook. And so it does change over time, and it can become more direct or meaningful or specific, I guess is the word I'm looking for, because she didn't put any of these things on her first intake form. Well, because we hadn't had the relationship and she didn't experience like what I bring over for her and mom to eat sometimes. And so now I know what she would really love is when I make X that I give her some, or when I do, bake Y that I set some aside for her. So that's a good reminder that it's not a one and done. You're right.
No.
And I need to go back too.
I love that. It's showing the value. It's so important. Well, we've got some other things to talk about. I mean, do you want to talk then kind of hand in hand about staff turnover? Like when is time to let people go? What do you do? How do you have less turnover, when you're working so hard to value them and keep them? Like what's a tip that you
How do you make your heart not hurt when they quit after you put all that effort into them?
Oh, I wish I had that answer.
dollar
Yeah.
signs when someone's, when you're
Yes.
training? That's all I think.
I think that your heart will hurt all the time if there's someone you invested in, and that is an actual healthy sign that you are continually learning and trying to improve so that you're reducing your turnover. So I could give you a Band-Aid maybe. Let me give you some salve. I won't throw salt in it, but the heart will hurt, and it's stressful and it sucks. I mean, and it never happens at the right time, right? Never.
It's always Christmas, like Mother's Day, something of that nature,
Yeah.
You just had a major thing in your personal life, like every time.
It's true. It's true. That's why I think it's really important to have community of support that's beside your staff. I know I'm not answering your question yet, Amy, but it can be very lonely being a leader, because they're leaders' problems, leaders' challenges that shouldn't be shared or discussed with staff. They're not. There is a relationship. Actually, I got this from our therapist. So she was talking about like a dartboard, and how relationships on the outside of the dartboard are people who don't get access to the very inner tender parts. And the closer we go in, that's saved for the people we most trust and respect and can hold our stuff there. So employees, they're somewhere in between. They're not completely center and they're not completely on the edge. But it's important to have other trusted people, whether it's a coach, a consultant, an adjacent business partner, or somebody who's in an industry, or, I mean, I even found someone who's in a completely different industry than I was. And she and I are still friends to this day because we connected about things that you can confidently talk about. So there we just went off on a tangent, but
No,
so I can't make your heart not hurt. It will. So
Yes, but having someone to share the burden with definitely will lighten the load. And it cannot be your employees.
correct. Or your spouse. I mean, I made that
Yeah.
mistake. I went, oh my gosh, wait, no. that it took me years for me personally, just with our relationship, that it was just, I realized later it was causing so much stress for him when I was just maybe venting. But that's, that's just a continual growth part of a relationship. So
I have found that I would call my friend Bree, particularly, she's in the industry, and I would just rant and rave, and then I would feel better and say, "Okay, bye, talk to you later." And you have to really be like, "Wait a second," you
yeah.
have to ask how they're doing. You have to give them the space to also do the same thing. So that's what I learned the hard way.
Yeah. There's, I don't know, your listeners might be screaming as they're listening, thinking, I know what these three things are. Um, I'm trying to incorporate them when I'm talking to a friend or when a friend's listening to me or a client is asking me something or telling me something. It's like, I would ask, do you want me to listen, to like give you a hug, or maybe it's like listen or give you, empathy or problem solve? Maybe those are the three things. But simply asking, like, what do you want? Because I mean, my tendency, honestly, is to solve, 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 solve.
Same. I think a lot of
Same.
strong women we want to solve, and then that can
Yeah.
it can make the other person feel way worse because it's like
Yes.
"You're asking for that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we learn by doing.
Are you spending hours managing studio bookings and class registrations? Occasion helps ceramic studios save an average of 3 days a week in admin time. With clever workflows, instant confirmations, and seamless class management, you can focus on what matters, creating amazing experiences for your customers. Join successful studios like Clay Cafe Avalon, who've trusted Occasion since 2016. Visit occasion.app and schedule a demo today. Mention Glazed Over Podcast for personalized setup support.
Hey, podcast pros, give yourself a high five for tuning in and leveling up your business game. Seriously, we see you. Here at Biscuit Imports, we're all about helping studios like yours thrive. From our ever-growing lineup of awesome bit shapes to a huge library of resources, videos, and tools, we're here to make your job easier and keep those customers coming back for more. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned studio superstar, we've got your back. Let's keep the creativity flowing, the kilns burning, and the good vibes rolling. Check us out anytime at biscuitimports.com. We're here to help you grow, shine, and succeed.
And I'm sorry, I totally derailed your earlier question if you wanted to reach back to it about
No,
staff.
I'm Jess. Do you have something?
No, it's all good.
Well, and I just kind of want to continue on to the customer journey because I think maybe before
Yeah.
we started chatting, or maybe it was after we pressed record, you said a few things of like, oh, this is kind of all involved in the customer journey. So we have talked about like vibe and culture a little bit. We've talked about, hiring the right employee, vibe wise, and then training them later. What would be next in your opinion about like what's so important to customer journey?
Well, I think first it's understanding what it is. So I didn't know what a customer journey map was when I had the hotel. I was just too busy working and doing the things and learning. And I called it a learning curve the other day. And my husband stopped me and he said, actually, it was a learning ladder. And I went, "Oh my God, what?" Yeah, it was a learning ladder. And so there's no, we do the best we can at the time we are doing it, and then we continue to learn. Like that's my life's philosophy, is continual improvement. That's what Kaizen, my business name, means, is continually improving. So it wasn't until after I sold the hotel I had time, well, not had time, that I made time, right? It's all a choice. I could have done it back then, that I made time to dive into this and see what it is. And traditional customer journey maps. So like people want an experience, right? They want to come to a studio and have an experience. And we're creating an experience. Let's use the example of a coffee shop, because sometimes it's easier not to think about our own business. So if I am going, like you and I, all three of us are visiting somewhere. We haven't been here and we want to go to a coffee shop. What's the first thing we do? We probably, nowadays, you take out your phone and you do a little search. Okay. And then we decide on one. That's someone from the coffee shop side. That's their marketing, right? That's their reviews, their website, their Instagram, all that. That's marketing. And so that's acquiring or helping us with the first step in our journey, which is consideration, or I call it out there. It's the out there stage. And then what we do, we're driving to the coffee shop. We're probably listening to Siri telling us what to do, but also because of learning styles and because signage works 24/7, we need to have something visual out for people to make it really easy so that they don't have decision fatigue. It's like, we're here, we're open. It's easy. Park there. We are curating their journey. It's basically like, no, we got you. We're like the landing strip people with the people, the pilots are like, come in,
right.
turn left, whatever I don't know what
The light strips.
Yeah.
They're traffic directors.
traffic directors. Yeah, so we're the traffic directors. So for those people who are looking, I'll show you this so you can see. And I've created the customer journey map specifically in a circle for a reason that I'll tell you in a minute. So we've got the out there, we're figuring out where we're going to our coffee shop. We're on the way, we're driving. Is it clear? Are the directions? Do I know where to park? Like the entrance or lot, where am I supposed to park? Do I need to pay a parking meter? How long can I stay there? And if I have a specific one on my own, like we did at the hotel, it needs to be clean because people are getting an impression in the parking lot. With the people, number 4 in the dating game, I'm trying to do this backwards. This is so hard to point at something in the mirror. Like number 6 and number 4, with the people in the dating game, those are 2 of the most important financial pieces of a customer journey and curating the experience. So we go into the coffee shop, right? We're all of a sudden accosted by these maybe amazing smells. We're having an experience. Like, does it say push? Does it say pull? How many times have you hit your head on the door? I have. Or it's sticky. I'm like, ugh, what's that saying about what I'm getting inside? It's so much fun to do this. And then with the people, that one, like what you had said, Jessica, people make you feel welcomed, and they feel welcomed at your place of business. 70% of buying experiences are based on how a customer feels they're being treated. That's huge. Feels. That's about soft skills. That's about people. Sure, I can have a beautifully curated lobby in the coffee shop, but if the 3 of us walk up and we feel like we are an interruption to their work, not the reason for their work, we're excited, we're in a new place, and they're talking to their, flirting with their coworker or like not greeting us, we're not feeling very welcome. And that right there, if I could focus on changing the world, it'd be right there, because there's incredible power with the people to change communities, to become more positive. Because small business owners have an incredible platform, because all sorts of people are coming into the business that have different religions, different political beliefs, different ages, different ethnicities. And the people that are working, when they understand their value and then how to make people feel welcomed with maybe just a greeting, it changes communities and it breaks down barriers and it starts to create connection. It's a small C in a big C of a community, right? We have an incredible opportunity. So soapbox, I'm off. So the people, let's say you and I, we're all having a great experience with the people. And then we have a great experience with the coffee. It's fantastic. And then when we leave, right, we are leaving the coffee shop. What's the coffee shop doing to get us back? Mm-hmm. Because just like they attracted us with all their marketing, every other business in town is trying to attract us with their marketing. So it's a business's responsibility. And on this one, I call it the dating game, step number 6. And I'm specifically talking about the right fit customer. Not every customer is our right fit customer. But that top 20%, the Pareto rule is that 20% of your customers give you 80% of your income. So when I'm talking about dating, I'm talking about that 20%. What are we doing to get them to come back, to refer us, to bring their friends? because those people are extraordinarily valuable to increasing our ROI on customer acquisition. So it's like the circle of life. What? And the reason I won't sing for you too bad. Cut that out. The reason I created a customer journey map in a Ferris wheel shape is because of those very reasons about that acquisition and the dating game. Traditional maps are linear in nature and they imply, just because of the way they look, a treadmill. And I know we're already on treadmills as business owners. I don't want to feel like I'm always on a treadmill. It's not an in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
A beginning and an end. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
retention is hugely important in employees and customers.
So can I ask, from a coffee shop perspective,
Yeah.
what are they doing to get me back there?
That's a good idea. Do you have any? Okay, before I jump in, have you had some experiences? Either one of you had some experiences that after you left, you went, oh, cool.
Well, I can, off the top of my head, there is one of our suppliers is in Belmont, North Carolina. It's a tiny town outside of Charlotte, and there's great stuff there, but not a whole lot of it. And there is a coffee shop in their downtown that makes one of the best lattes I've ever had in my life. And they also, as a non-dairy option, use pistachio milk, which is very uncommon. And it's so good, right? And so anytime I'm in town visiting the supplier, I make it a point to go and bring my friends. And so I do understand that quality is one thing, right, that'll get me going. And things that get me going back to Starbucks is just convenience. So what is in between quality and convenience?
Did you have one that you wanted to add, Jessica, or no?
I have so many opinions about coffee shops, which is why I tried to stay a little quiet during this conversation. Because I feel like a lot of them are moving in the direction of, we don't want you to be here very long. We're going to have the most streamlined experience. There's no comfortable seating. Last time I went into a coffee shop, one, as a consumer, I don't buy a lot of those opportunity purchases. I'm not one who buys a coffee every day. So when I do, it's a special occasion for me to have gone in. So I'm extra excited to be there. I walk in, the girls in the back are singing, and that's fine. Takes them a few minutes. They notice me. I see them notice that I'm there. They decide to keep talking. Neither of them chooses to come and greet me. One of them finally does. When she does, she rolls the mop bucket out with her. They don't close for another 3 hours. She starts talking about how she's got to start mopping and she can't do that until I finish ordering. And I'm like, well, I feel so unwelcome here. Like, you do not want me to be here. And to your point, I'm acutely aware that there are other people in the city who do want to take my money, who do want to give me a good experience. So, I would love to hear what the coffee shops are doing that's great, and especially when you leave, because to me, it feels like their goal is to get you out of there as quickly as they can.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's go fix them all. Okay. So,
yeah, right.
And we can transfer some of these over to, I'll make sure I make a note of a spa cleaning example when I did one of these workshops that we will be doing with the group here shortly in a couple weeks, I think. So one of the ways, your question was, how do we make people want to come back? What's that last step, that dating game? So you've both hit on it. It starts with training staff to know how important they are and what their purpose is. Their purpose is not to take out the mop bucket. Their purpose is to serve somebody who's giving you what is representative of their life. They're giving you money, and we're trading, like I traded my life for this money, and now I'm trading this money for a product. And I want to have a good experience. So first, it's training staff to understand that their purpose is to serve. It's not to do the tasks. So Jessica, you talked earlier about meeting with staff to ask them questions about their goals and their other interests and things. Perfect. That's perfect. Most of the time, people train what I hold up like a planner. They train the tasks. Here's how you mop the floors. Here's when you do this. Here's how you make the coffee. Here's how you yada, yada. If they want to increase their tips, they need to start training people skills, because people skills every single time make up for a bad service or a bad product. if we go into a coffee shop and we have a great experience with a barista that's new and gets our order wrong and apologizes, but put a nice note on the cup and whatever, and says goodbye to we as we leave, we're coming back. But if we go and they pull the mop bucket out and they say, I've had this happen, I close in 3 minutes, I'm like, oh, like your tip's going to suck, man. It's not going to be
Right.
good. So there's a piece of what we're talking about has to do with backing up as a leader and understanding I may not be comfortable training people skills, but I've got to, because my customers will return when they feel valued. So first of all, it has to train staff. You have to greet, like in the Power of People Academy. The first thing we teach is eye contact, greeting, or eye contact, smile, and a greeting. It's a trifecta. We have to make them feel welcomed. On the way out, so how do you, to answer the question you posed earlier, Amy, some ideas. When someone is leaving, if it's possible, you just say goodbye and thank you. Thank you. Simple, but it makes me feel like, oh, sweet, I might come back there. If I get a receipt, an email receipt, rather than just having the receipt, like, here's how much you spent, if possible, put a fun little note that's maybe in line with your values on that receipt. If I was brainstorming with another guy on a podcast and we were talking about helping staff feel valued. And he said, yeah, you get 20 gift cards for $5 and you just tell your staff you can give it out to them randomly. If you see someone who needs looks like they need an extra perk, great idea. Or what if I'm one of the staff members at the coffee shop and I love books, which I love books. How about I have a little thing about me and my favorite book reads? And maybe that's something that is a little piece of paper that goes or whatever, or something that people get on their way out the door. It would make me as a staff feel valued because you're interested in my interests. And it would connect me to customers because then there's another connection point with somebody who might be maybe even politically on the opposite side of the fence, right? But we're creating a connection point. And then maybe I can refer to the local bookstore. I mean, those are some of the ideas. One, I'll talk to you about the spa cleaning. When I did this workshop with a bunch of small business owners, one gentleman, he cleans spas and pools. And so we were thinking, what do they need to know? What do we want people to know, do, and feel? Know, do, and feel every single step of the journey. So we ask that question in step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What do we want them to know and do and feel? So the spa guy, we'll call him spa guy. When he leaves, we did this, he did some brainstorming on his own and then as a group, and it was so fun to see these ideas. So he knows that he wants people to call him back. So what can he do that's a little bit different? He can put people into his system. So he calls and automatically says, hey, time for your spa cleaning. Would you like me to head over? Great. Then you're thinking for me. 100% yes. What about if they have some chemicals in there? How about if you're your top 20 client, he just leaves a new bottle of whatever it is that you might need in there, but it has the branded thing, his brand, and a note that says, hey, I noticed you're low. Oh my God, that would create such good customer loyalty. And somebody else came up with those little rubber, I have one actually. It's like these little rubber duckies.
Uh-huh.
And because it fit with his brand and stuff, having, if, and I don't even know if this is possible, but it's so fun to brainstorm these ideas. If there was a little ducky that had his information or a fun message with his business that he left in the spa. So when someone opened it up, right, there was this fun little surprise, maybe they have kids or whatever, but those are some ideas of how you can really date people, the right people, and help to really create customer loyalty. So
I have 2 silly examples.
good.
Okay, and unfortunately, they're both from my local bar. So here we go.
Okay.
There is our favorite bartender. We go to the same place every Wednesday. It's our date night, and our bartender there is named Devin, and she's so funny. And something that I love watching her do is meet someone new because she will serve them, and then towards the end, before she drops the check, she says, "What's your name?" Like and my name's Devin. It's nice to meet you, and it's so simple and so easy. And even just having that touch point is enough for them to be like, oh, okay, well, I know someone there. And then when they leave, she says, okay, see y'all tomorrow. And they laugh, because at first you think, oh my God, did we say we were coming tomorrow? Or did you, did I, but then they realize it's a joke and they're like, oh, haha, okay. And I've seen people come back the next day to be like, well, you said see you tomorrow, so we're here. And I think that's really sweet. And something that I'm noticing on Instagram right now are videos of staff doing this thing where they're like holding up a person's name, and the staff member talking to them will list their drink order from the coffee shop or from their bar order or the meal or whatever it is, and they will guess whose it is. And they'll say, oh, it's latte with 3 Splendas and an extra shot, and they'll say, oh, that's Mary. And I love seeing those because you can just imagine how Mary feels watching that, or that these people do see them, because sometimes that might be the only person they interact with that day.
Yeah. And to feel seen by people is huge in customer loyalty. I love that. That's in the Power of People Academy, that training you asked me about earlier, that one of the modules is the Pareto principle. It's teaching about that top 20% and how important they are to your business. And one of the sheets that comes with is to name those top 5. And what I found, it's very interesting, and it makes for interesting discussion that just raises awareness. When I'm working with groups, we'll have someone pull the financials, and financially we'll be able to see who the top 20% is, but we won't look at it right away. We'll do who do we think are our top 20%. And it's fascinating. It's a fascinating exercise to then compare the two and just come up with, well, why is it? Why do we feel like this person is in our top 20%? And actually, oh my gosh, this person or business is our top 20%, but holy smokes, we need to do some more things because I didn't realize. Like that's very fun. It's very fun to do.
Yeah, my biggest customer is my quietest customer, and that is always so interesting to see year on end. And that just reminds me I need to send her like a thank you card because she's spending thousands of dollars with me a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Those are all really
when
important.
people leave, customers leave the business, there's lots of gimmicky things. Like we could do pens, or we could do cozies, or whatever, koozies, whatever they're called, beer koozies.
South we say koozie.
Cozies. But what I like to help business owners hone in on are what things are value add for the customer and are on brand for us, so that it's creating an association. Like, see if I can think of one off the top of the head. I wouldn't give someone in a coffee shop that's my top client, I wouldn't give them a chip clip, probably, unless we also did chips with our stuff. Maybe, just things that can be advertising out there. There's, whether it's a hat or merch or what else? What am I thinking of? Those coasters that are branded. Yeah, lots of different things. It's nice to have it that's not just stuff people are going to throw away, but something that's intentional. It's not something for everyone, but it's for that top 20% that helps remind them when they're home and they're busy. Like, oh yeah, I had this great experience. It's time to go back. Oh, the bar, it's nice to go back because let's go talk to Devin. She made me feel, right? She saw people as people. She made them feel welcomed and seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Samantha, I have a question for you. It's on language. Me and my circle of friends debate this all the time. So you're at a pottery shop in the deep South. You go to leave. The staff says, thanks, y'all be safe. We'll see you next time. How do you feel about the y'all be safe part?
Oh man, that's a good question. I we don't use y'all up here,
Right.
up like I'm higher, whatever. No,
Yeah.
looking at a flat map on the wall, Oregon is
Yeah.
higher than the map. So we don't use y'all here, but my aunt is in Texas. And so I think that that's very cultural. It's dependent on the region. So each space or each region or even community or sometimes within your own business, it is an exercise to come up with what is your greeting, because it's different for all different places.
Yeah.
Personally, y'all, I don't, I don't know. So they'll call me ma'am, and I know that in some places that's really respectful, and then I think it makes me feel old. But then I love it when my little nieces, not fake nieces and nephews, call me Miss Samantha rather than just some. I don't. Maybe it's a middle school background. I don't care for little kids to call me by my first name, but they don't. Mrs. Irwin is a little too
Yeah.
formal, but I love Miss
Formal.
Samantha because, so your
Well,
question is there's not a blanket answer for your question, in my opinion. I think it's very specific to a region and even to a business within a region, a small
Yeah,
seat.
I'm curious, Jess, what do you think is the right answer?
Me too.
Because
yeah.
we didn't say this, but I'm in Atlanta. Jess is in Chattanooga, so we're both Southern girlies here.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm
And I
from,
grew up
yeah,
I grew up in the deep, deep South too, where the twang and the y'alls are all things. And it's part of the community aspect though, is we feel like we really know each other, whether we really know you or not. So it happens at lots of businesses here where when you leave, someone will tell you to be safe, just to remind you to be safe. And for us, it's we care about you. We want you to be safe so you make it next time, But in other places, if you tell someone, hey, y'all be safe, they might say, what's out there? What's so scary
From what?
outside
Yeah.
that I need to be safe about it? And so I think the language just becomes really important to be aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and colloquially what it means in your local vernacular.
Yeah, that's a good point of y'all be safe. I might feel a little odd if that was said to me and it wasn't something that's normal. Or, you know what? Even if it were normal in my community, but I had experiences where I hadn't felt safe, it might be a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It reads very
Yeah.
similar to me as a person my age calling me sweetheart, where it's like, you haven't, that's, my dad can say that, but you haven't kind of earned
Right.
a little bit. So,
Right.
Yeah. But I think it just depends on where you are, and who your people are in the area.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what? It can change. It's okay. Businesses evolve and change all the time. One of my biggest challenges was still is just taking the next step. Like I want to be from point A to point B, like right now. I like to get things done. I like to get them done. I like to do them well and perfect and all of it. And as I get older and more wrinkles, like, okay, just mellow out. It's okay. It's fine to make mistakes because it will happen. Mistakes will happen. There is a way, though, to fix those mistakes that is full of integrity and helps people to develop relationship. So that, it's always evolving. Every part of business is always evolving. So hopefully we can just take a deep breath and go, hey, we're doing this really great. And what's the next thing we want to improve on? Sometimes we swing and hit, sometimes we swing and a miss.
Very true. Have you read Unreasonable Hospitality?
Oh, yes, I have. I heard him speak. And I'm telling you straight up, I was so pissed when I heard him. I was so pissed when I read that book. I was so mad. And I told him this when I saw him and he went like, what? And I said, because all of those words are words that are out of my mouth. If you put my name on there, like I have the exact same attitudes as you, Will.
I know.
Yeah, I
know.
love it.
I totally get that. But I think it should be required reading for many, many of us in this industry, because it's just about going above and beyond and caring about people. And, when you invest in people, staff and customers, they invest back into you.
They do.
Yeah.
This is our first book read.
Yeah, I'm interested in this a lot.
That's a good one.
It's old and it is
looks like it.
So
that
good. Look at
class.
all these. We used to do
Yeah.
it as a staff book read.
That's fun. You know, we do within the podcast, we have our friend Julia McNair, who's a big reader, come on every quarter or so, and we do kind of a deep dive on a book. And so I'm going to suggest to her this one next, because I think that could be really
Mm.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
it was great. We read it annually as a staff, and you can see all these dog ears and all of the tags in it, and there's writing all over these. So what I did is I bought a whole bunch of them, and then they check them out. And the requirement, because this is like, there's books I write in and books I don't, and right, we're never, I don't know, it's like a we're growing up, we're like, don't write in the books. So it was a requirement when they read it that they had to highlight, underline, or write in the book. And what I found is it is so much fun to read a book after someone has done that, because it creates pause, it creates time for interaction and reflection, rather than just like, yep, I'm done with that. Like, no, let's let things sink in a little bit. So
Yeah.
it was fun. They would pick up somebody else's book the next year and go through and read it.
I love that. Is there a way that you made them like signal who was who?
I did not. Yeah, I didn't. It was sort of a grab bag. What I thought you were going to say is there a way you compartmentalized it to discuss each chapter, whatnot? I tried. And what I found I was like, okay, because I didn't want to overwhelm people, right? Some people are comfortable reading, and some people, maybe it's a struggle. So I remember assigning the first one. I said, okay, do you think we could go from whatever, chapters 1 through 8 or whatever it was, the first month? And they said, yeah, that sounds doable. And I kid you not, they came in and we sat down for our dinner and our staff meeting, and they didn't stop at chapter 8. They just kept going.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And boy, did that make my heart happy as a leader. I was like, whoa, I am trying to hold on to the horses as they're going off. And
Yeah.
I love that.
they were inspired. Things like that are inspiring, whether it's a book, a video, a podcast, all of those kinds of continual learning things are important in developing staff that care, because it shows we care about them.
Right. You mentioned earlier, you know, training for people skills is really important. And sometimes we might not feel comfortable even in that role of training. Do you have any sort of continued education to help us learn how to train for people skills? Are there any other books or podcasts or YouTube videos you recommend?
Oh, let's see. I have so many of these fun ones.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
I liked Setting the Table. That's a great book.
I read that one every year.
Yeah.
Every year. Yep.
I love Jack Mitchell's Hug Your Customers is a great one. Oh no, that was not my favorite one. We'll check that one out. The other one, let's see. There's a great one. Well, there's a great one that I read about hiring, but it's so dry that I like to just sum up for people. Other podcasts, I tend to honestly listen to business podcasts, so I don't have a good reference for you there. But I'm sure, I do YouTube videos. I'll self-promote. Yeah, you can look. I have some YouTube videos and a blog, and the Hospitality Boot Camp, and which is an online training course. And I also created this weekly, I call it drip irrigation. So it's creating a culture deck for leaders who don't want to come up with weekly content that inspires, educates, and motivates. So each week because I was a teacher, I put the question on the back for people. So you don't have to think about it. So it's just a focus card. So this is the first, I just pulled this one.
Oh, I love this.
For listeners, it says 63% of millennials begin their customer service interactions online, which is step 1 in the customer journey. And then the question on the back, what's the date of our last online review? Do we need to ask for more? And on what platforms are they posted?
Love that.
This is where we can, that it's just a leadership tool. That's one that helps. Some of them are statistical, some are interpersonal. Like it will, there's one about naming your top customers. There's one about when did you see someone doing, oh, here's the one. I love Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And then the back one is focusing on how is focusing on our customer experience changed the way you look at businesses when you are a customer.
That's so great.
I'm really trying to ruin
you-
people.
I mean, clearly, a big issue that I have as, you know, a one-woman show is that, like, I know that I should do this. I know I should do a monthly review of my finances. So then I sit down and do it. And then I say, okay, well, what do I do with this information? And it's really exhausting to have to do the thing and then also create the thing or just decide what's should be done with the information. And so, you know, I think this is a really great prompt, you know, and to have resources like you and Hospitality Bootcamp for us who are really exhausted by knowing we should be doing better, but not exactly knowing how to do it or when to do it or why even to do it.
Or why. Yeah. I mean, I would, for my own self and for leaders that I work with, I would just want people to take a breath and be like, and say, I mean, I would say to everybody listening, like, you're doing fine. You're doing a great job. You are. And yes, there's tons of stuff you can do. There's tons of ways to get better. But you're doing great right now. So, you know, take a moment and go get the pistachio latte and take a moment and just say hello to yourself and treat yourself to something, because leadership is constant. Front-facing staff are constantly giving to customers, constantly. That's why we need to fill them up. Leaders are constantly giving to staff so that they can constantly give to the customer. Who fills up the leadership bucket? If you go home and you have kids and a dog and a partner, you're giving some more. If you're having to care give, you're giving some more. Like women in particular, and I'm talking about anybody who identifies that way, or maybe I just need a new word. There's people that give all the time. They just give. And we've oftentimes been conditioned to give. And it's really important as a leader to create space and time and community, whether that's with, like on this podcast, it's a book, it's a fellow person you can, struggle with business, or a coach, to fill your own bucket. Because you can only give what you receive, you can only pour out. You don't want to pour out till you're empty. So what things feed your soul, and realize, yeah, I'm doing okay. And you know what? Then tackle the hard stuff. I mean, I didn't ever want to tackle the finances, but the way my personality style works, I needed someone to hold me accountable and say, here's what we're doing and here's when we're meeting. For me, that's true whether I'm doing art, whether I'm playing tennis, not gardening, because I'll do that on my own, or hike. But there's a book called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, which is a great one. Yeah, it's called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. And it is a fabulous read for leaders to understand themselves, if you have kids, to understand them, but also to understand staff and how people are motivated differently. And it was an eye-opener for me, personally when I read it. So yeah, just focus on the next thing and do that. If it's hard, you don't like it, get some help. There's no shame. No shame. And if everybody's different, I'm not going to look at my finances on my own unless I need to.
Yeah.
Well, Samantha, I mean, do you have any kind of last words?
Advice, wisdoms for us? Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Is there any particular problem or stressor currently that you feel like you want to bring up to mind, and we can just sort of riff off and see if I can come up with something for that, problem solving for that?
Not too many, Jess.
I know there's so
Yeah,
many.
I'm pretty good on problems right now. Surprisingly, and I went through a lot of problem solving the past few months. Hiring a new staff. I turned over a staff from that I've had for about 2 years into pretty much an entirely new one, save for two, that stayed on. So I definitely spent the last couple of months kind of reconfiguring what makes the most sense and what's going to move me forward when it comes to training my staff. I say it, I feel like in every podcast, but the people are the biggest investment that we make. That's where the most of our dollars goes, where the most of our energy goes. And they're the ones who are representing your business and creating the sales and doing all of those things. So my top priority is always my staff, because their top priority are our customers. So yeah, I just want to say again how important that is and finding ways to make them feel seen. My staff, I recently developed a whole back panel website just for them, just so that they can talk to each other, have their own little hubs and portals. And in a small business with 7 employees, that's not normal, but and when they asked me about it, I kind of thought, I don't know that I want to spend my time on this, but I did. And it's like the best thing since sliced bread for them. I've already seen just a big uptick in their confidence in the store. They feel like they can do things without me, or they can make bigger decisions and make those magic moments happen, because to me, that's what's important. Like, how do we have what we call the art from the heart kit, which is how we come up to people and give them something special while they're in the space. To your point earlier, when we were talking about promo items, like, yeah, those can be kind of tough because they almost feel like a waste of money in the end. Depending on the usability of it, because is it just something that gets thrown in the backseat of the car or under the floorboard or whatever. But we came up with a box where we have little special things that we made in-house that are clay that we can give to people on their birthday, on their anniversary, whatever it might be, that they're going to use it every day and they're going to remember, oh my gosh, remember that time we went to celebrate and then they gave us a thing, and like, we need to go back there. And I'll add, my birthday was recently, and I know that we're in a recession because not a single company offered me a discount, a freebie, a something or another, but I got lots of messages that were, hey, happy birthday, we haven't seen you in a while, make a reservation, come on in, come get your nails done. But no $10 off, extra punch on your stamp card, anything like that. So as we move forward, I think those little moments become more and more important because the bigger businesses aren't thinking about them.
They aren't. Oh, that's so good. So to leave people with an example, 2 of them, like, we don't always have to give people a thing, right? You can also give an experience to your top 20%. So let's say instead of 10% to come off to get your nails done, you can say, come in and get your nails done, and you get I don't know what it would be, some kind of an add-on.
Free mimosa,
There you go, free
Yeah.
mimosa, right? If you come in this week, something that's a value add. So we don't always have to discount our services, but we can value add and create experiences for people that are memorable, because people remember how they feel. And when we create an experience for them, like a special VIP day for your top 20%, where they get to come in and, gosh, I don't know, like see a special technique or be the first to know about something. Those are fun ways that you don't always have to spend a lot of money, but we can enfold things. Is where we'd get together and talk about it. What can we enfold into what we're already doing that is a little bit more of a higher or personal touch point that would make those people feel really welcomed and taken care of. And then Amy, to answer your question of one last thought to leave people with, one of the things that, we talked about Will, love him, then the unreasonable hospitality, mine is exceeding expectations, and teaching the steps. There are 3 steps to teach that I teach about how do you fix mistakes when they happen, not if they happen, but when. Because as a business owner, I don't want to come back in on Monday morning and have to solve all the problems, right? They're smart, intelligent, capable staff. I was like, why are they not solving these problems? Like, ugh. And what I finally, after beating my head against the wall, I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't put the box on the sandbox. I didn't tell them what they could play in. So by specifically outlining this in onboarding and writing all these things down, Jessica, you probably have all the things written down. That's perfect. That will save you time the next time you hire somebody. You just refine how you do all the things. But having like here's how much money or whatever you're allotted, or how many gifts of whatever you're allotted each month to be able to exceed expectations or add value to a client. And then when you have a staff meeting or in the back channel of the website, they share it. Like, here's what I did. That creates some knowledge. It creates some inspiration. It creates good feeling for the person who's doing it. And for the people who are reading about it, the good feels just get on people, like, blowing up a champagne bottle. You just get sprayed with it in a good way. So creating a box and saying, look, you can do this, and here's your budget each month. Statistics show, I've had business owners go, oh God, I don't want to do that. They're just going to waste money and give it to their friends. Well, of course you can put parameters around it, but statistics show that they don't overspend. They don't overuse it. They don't abuse it. Yeah.
I love that idea, because it just gives them, and I think when they get to do things like that, they feel like, oh, this is my space too.
Yes, we want them to feel like owners, because then we don't have to have
Empowerment is the first step to feeling that way.
Yes,
so.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. Fun.
Samantha, thank you so much. This has been so inspiring. I look forward to your webinar, which again is happening in a couple weeks. I believe we have it, July 22nd. So you're going to be on and doing a live webinar for our members. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. It's
Awesome.
called Hot Mess to Heck Yes. We're going to break down the customer journey.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah. You're in good company with all of these people. So we all like things like that. So.
Oh, good.
Thanks for listening. Des Toll here from Bisque Imports. We're proud to support the CCSA podcast, and even prouder to support the amazing folks like you. Keep creating, keep growing, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Running a small business can sometimes feel isolating, but with CCSA, you're never alone. As a member of the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association, you'll be a part of a supportive community of studio owners just like you. Our forums, events, and annual convention give you the chance to connect, share ideas, and collaborate with other passionate business owners in the fine arts world. Join CCSA and tap into a network that understands your business challenges and is ready to help you succeed. Visit www.ccsaonline.com and get connected today.
Where can we find you? What's your socials? What's your website?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm on the socials and LinkedIn. So probably the best place to start is just the website. And it's a little different. It's kaizen.zone. No .com after that, just .zone. So KAIZEN.ZONE, Kaizen.zone. Yeah.
Amazing.
Kaizen Zone. I like that.
Kaizen
That's
Zone.
fun. Like a little portal, The
Yeah.
Kaizen world.
Yes. Maybe we'll have to have some special pottery that signifies that. That would be fun.
That would be.
That would be fun.
We can get on that.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Samantha. This was great. I liked that this was our first time meeting. A lot of times in these episodes, we know the people very well. So it was nice to chat kind of outside the family a bit. And I look forward to all the good stuff you can do for our industry.
Yeah, I want to talk to you all day. So I'm really excited to see you around more.
Oh, that makes my heart so happy. I feel the exact same way. I feel the exact same way. And I want to go to both your studios. I'm like, oh, let's go experience this. This sounds awesome.
I was going to tell both
come
of
on
y'all
down anytime.
The coffee shops in Atlanta are top notch. So y'all, so get down here, especially you, Jessica. If you can't find a good shop in Chattanooga.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta not pretty often. Brave season, so I'm down there for the baseball games.
I am not, but
yeah, well, to each their own. Anyway, yes, thank you so much, Samantha, for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure talking to both of you.
Agreed. And thank you again. We will see you in July.
All right.
Yeah,
sounds awesome. All right. Thank you. All right, I'll pop off and let you chat.
Yeah.
Bye, Samantha.
Okay, bye.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Jessica Cowan. Editing by Scott Lester. Executive production by Vicki DeWort. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.